What's up, guys? So we've got the first amazing episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show in 2023. It's going to be an amazing year for everyone watching, for all of us here, and we've got some awesome guests as usual. So, who have we got today?
Got the regular Knights of the Round Table, myself and Nate from the Sanctum Squad. And as he was unable to join us for the Christmas special, a very warm welcome to Grandma Guaggio. Thank you for joining us once again.
Oh, my pleasure. It's great to be back and great to be chatting with my mates.
Lovely,
Good stuff, man.
Lovely. So, let's kick it off with talking about our New Year's resolutions, guys. What have we got planned? What targets have we got moving into 2023?
Me and Grandma just did ours before Fabs realised that he wasn't recording, so we'll let Nate go first.
Okay.
You're not meant to throw people in the deep end like that.
Smallest violin. But like, I touched on this in the Christmas special, but I think my goal this year was to really kind of cut down on the amount of Yu-Gi-Oh that I've been playing recently, is because I've realised that side of things took up quite a lot of my time, where I could have been dedicating it a little bit more to other aspects of my life.
Personal growth and such like.
Yeah, I guess so. But then there's also the fact of, if I do get back into playing, I also it's quite similar to, I guess, a point that would be brought up later, but kind of want to stick to one deck, I think, for a considerable amount of time. Because last year, I think I danced around so many different decks that when I stuck with one, it felt like I had the most growth and the most fun I had with the game. So I think sticking with one deck this year might be the way forward.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I said this before we started recording. It's a bit of a sticky one because obviously we're in a tier 0 format at the moment, and we're about to enter a completely new format with a lot of decks that are, very, very powerful. So right now, like, trying to pick a deck is like a bit weird. But I think I've been testing a lot of different stuff, and I think when it comes to building it on paper, like, I'm definitely just gonna make sure 100% this is the one I want to stick with for at least, the best part of the year, and then take it from there. And I guess also just go to more events. I want to do YCS London so bad. I've not done a YCS in the UK. Well, I've not done a YCS before, but I really want to do one so bad, like with everyone. Like, Nats was so good last year. I just want to have a good time in it with Yu-Gi-Oh! And get a few more tops in if I can.
That's a good shout. Jacob, do you want to go for yours?
Oh, sure, yeah. It's sort of a little bit different to what the others were talking about, but I'd actually like to maybe play more decks, because I think I have almost had a bit of the inverse, where I've spent, particularly the last half of 2022, very tunneled in on just playing tier element. And I mean, I've played it in a number of different ways. I played it with Lunar Light. I played it, obviously, a Shizu tier since Mama came out. But like, that is mostly the only way I've been playing the game, and I've sort of had the mindset where I've had to sort of justify, like, oh, I want to use this as my chance to practice playing the deck, because obviously we've got a regional next weekend in our region. The YCS will be coming up in London soon enough, and I haven't really given much time outside of locals to playing the game. So I'd quite like to manage my time a little bit more effectively outside of locals, get like some competitive reps in of tier somewhere, and if I want, then play something other things that I enjoy. I mean, I really enjoy tier, but play some other things that I enjoy as well at locals, particularly Goatee, which I've been loving, testing, building, shaping over Christmas.
Yeah, we've played quite a few fun matches with the Goatee over Christmas. The deck is surprisingly potent. I've got to admit, I was surprised at some of the stuff that Jacob was able to pull off. But don't sleep on it, man.
It's only got better as well.
Definitely.
Because I think we played that the first day I picked the deck up, those games.
Yeah. We were up till silly o'clock in the morning playing it, but it was a lot of fun. What about you, Fabs? What's your New Year's resolution saying? I know you mentioned about doing the Ordeal of a Traveller.
Yeah, I'd say that, like, for me, I don't have many specifically linked to Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than that Ordeal of a Traveller one. I just, I think it would be cool to at least see what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like on other continents and that kind of stuff.
See more of the world, innit?
Yeah, it's also a personal one for me. Like, I don't know if I've mentioned, I'm terrified of flying. Look, as for flying, that's not me. I'm not there. So it's also a personal challenge that to actually have to get, because look, it's like in terms of YCS Leon, guys, I'm getting the train there. I'm not flying because I'd rather take a 6-hour train journey than fly like for an hour. But
I'm the same, mate.
yeah, but in terms of South America, unfortunately, that option I don't think is there, so I'm gonna have to fly. I'm not looking forward to it. But yeah, I want to get those out of the way. I think it'll be quite cool. So yeah, that's probably my Yu-Gi-Oh one. And then yeah, stuff like getting in shape and stuff. I want to be hench. I want to be swole. I want to top YCS and be hench as heck. And like, yeah, they're doing a deck pro.
Want to be lifting up the trophy like it's made of feathers.
Yeah, literally. Like when Yassine did a profile, all I could think is this guy is actually hench, and that's what I want people to think when they see me top. So yeah, that's I want to get back in shape. I used to be in pretty good shape before, and I think I can hit it up again. So yeah, that's my resolutions.
Yeah, fair enough. So I've had the positive. Go on.
Oh well, I was about to move on to on the drama of the week, but I feel like did you have something there, Dan?
I was just going to say, speaking of Yassine, shout out to Yassine. He's one of my favourite deck builders of all time. But some of the things that he's been coming out with on Twitter, I can't
really.
I can't back it in it.
See, this is the thing. I don't have Twitter, so I miss out on all of this, bro. Okay, so, spill the beans.
So,
well, this is the drama of the week, is it not?
Yeah, the drama of the week. Me and Grandma are the we're kind of the resident Twitter rats of the chat. So I guess between us we'll fill everyone in. For those of you who've been living under a rock, there's this person named Andrew Tate who is basically just blown up by being a misogynist and just kind of getting around it by spewing a lot of stuff about men's mental health. Which, to be frank, there's a lot of better role models you can get this from than someone who's an alleged sex trafficker. But anyway, yeah, so he was very famously arrested, hold tight Greta Thunberg, for her expose. That was incredibly funny. But there's been a lot of Yugi-tubers, well, I say a lot of Yugi-tubers. There's been some Yugi-tubers who are very notable, such as Triff, I think Nesh of the Goocast was one. Yassine, as I mentioned earlier, were coming out in defense of why they liked Andrew Tate, and obviously that has kicked up quite a discourse on Twitter. Before we go any further, by the way, I do want to disclaim anything that I say about any of these YouTubers going forward. I actively don't dislike any of them based on who they want to like. Like, you can like whoever you like, but if you like someone who is as controversial as this, you have to expect people to want to, justify that. Why are you supporting someone like this? And I do genuinely think Triff and Yassine are both great content creators. Nesh, he's great on the Goocast, but I have to admit he's not someone who I follow on the online sphere very much. But we'll keep it back to the drama before I try not to get myself cancelled. Grandma, do you want to take it further?
I don't really know what else there is necessary to add in terms of just laying the scene out. There was a lot of sort of discussion around like whose place is it to sort of have conversations with people when they espouse views like this. Like, should we be talking to them? What should we be saying? What should we be challenging people about? And people have come down in sort of different places on that, both sort of in principle generally and relating specifically to these YouTubers. Although the thing about Nesh was news to me, I think. So I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, Nesh was a weird one. I didn't expect him to come out with something like that. But
really, Nesh seems like the kind of person that would support Andrew Tate. I can't lie, he really does.
Yeah, it's half and half really. Like, you never expect. Okay, like the Triff thing. That kind of stuff. I don't want to get myself cancelled. This is a really awkward.
Do you know what? Like, people are allowed to have opinions in it. You're not going to get cancelled for having an opinion. And as Fabs has mentioned before, if anyone who is mentioned would want to have an open and honest discussion about this, you are more than welcome to join us.
Anyway, when I say my piece, you're like, cancel it. Don't be afraid of being cancelled. It can't cancel you for having an opinion, so it's fine.
It's not like you're going around saying, my man's a prick for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's worth clarifying at this point that some of these people, I don't know anything about what's been said around Nesh with this, but certainly with Triff, that what he's talked about. His liking of Tate has not been the misogyny. Like, he has publicly disavowed the misogynistic elements of this, whilst perhaps not going far enough in some people's eyes, my own included, necessarily in how he's sort of reflected on it. But there are different voices here who are liking what Tate has said up to different points, and some of those people might not even be aware of like the grander picture of what what they've got into.
Yeah.
But
So
it's worth having a conversation with people about that, to be like, well, do you know what else this guy's saying? If you don't, be careful that like you're keeping yourself protected from like outright hate. But also, if you're sharing the bits of what he's saying that you consider to be positive and are said by lots of other people, know that people you might share this with might not again realize what else this person's saying, and could end up falling into the other things he's saying, which are disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest thing as well is like, I respect Triff because what he said after, he was like, "Oh, I agree with so and so. I did not know about this, and this," and he's come out openly and he's apologized, I think, for following the views of Tate, and I can see why some people definitely back the opinions, because when being, it's really awkward to phrase it in a way, but
I'll try and phrase it in what I think you're trying to say, Nathan. Just a little update, by the way. I've been looking through Yugi Twitter while you guys have been chatting. It would appear that there has been a podcast recorded between Eva Lease, Triff, Nesh, House of Champs, Fifth Rate Duelist, I think, which will probably be out at some point. So we'll get a bit more lore on that as it goes. Nesh appears, the way that I was looking at it from Nesh's tweets, it seemed as though he was more defending Triff, but like I say, I only saw really a glance of it, and a lot of what I was trying to look for seems to have been deleted, so I'm not going to attempt to comment any further on that. I'm sure the podcast that they record will shed a bit more light. But anyway, I think the thing about Andrew Tate, specifically, that in my head, the only word to describe him is dangerous. And the reason that he's dangerous is because he's very successfully carved himself out a niche in the online world where there are people, specifically men, who feel like they have been shunned, and they will eat into what he says about men's mental health, and they'll think, "Oh, this is something that I can get behind," and then they go deeper into the rabbit hole, and you get the, what color is your Bugatti? I make $8 million a month doing whatever. Come and join my Discord for $50 a month, and this is a Discord. I've been kind of like playing in the pig pen here for a while. I've been up to date on my Andrew Tate manga. It's basically just a Discord where you get tips, quote unquote, on how to get women to worship you, and he treats then like these are people who like treat women like property.
Is that his? If I'm not mistaken, I don't think that's the primary purpose of his Discord. If I'm not mistaken.
It's one of the primary purposes, I believe.
I don't think so, because I was going to say, because I feel like I've been quite up to date with Andrew Tate as well, and so his Discord.
It's Hustlers University, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's money.
I would say that it's less about women. It's more basically a very very well marketed Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
it's less about picking up women and more about making money, but affiliate marketing Ponzi scheme.
It's basically
that is definitely an aspect of it. Like there's parts of his website where he's talking about how he gets women to worship.
I wouldn't be surprised about that. But, so this, oh wait, sorry. I'll let you finish your thought, Daniel. Then
sorry. I was just going to say, but people look into this and look, it's drop shipping. Like this is how he's teaching you to make money. It's drop shipping scams. Like they're not hard to set up. They're not going to make you a lot of money realistically. But it gives you this fake view of life that if you pay this $50 to join this Discord server, you're going to get women falling over you and 5,000 Bugattis, and your hairline's going to be improved or anything like that. But then you look deeper into what these people are actually doing. Allegedly, it is important here to say allegedly because nothing has come out in concrete. And some of the things that he's saying, there are clips of him that actively say that he has moved to Romania because it is harder to get arrested for a sexual assault crime. What does that say to you? What does that say to you? It's dangerous.
So like,
Like, he's a
yeah, I agree. And so this is what I'd say about Andrew Tate, because I've been studying him a lot, and it's like I was really confused on him at first, because when
Sure.
he first popped up on my YouTube, the videos that I first came across were, I would see him on a lot of podcasts like Fresh and Fit and stuff. Actually, no, the first one I saw him was grilling with Sheehan, and it was a lot of kind of red pill stuff, but not fully red pill stuff. And then it's like I did a deeper dive into it, and it seemed like he was just again a kind of the typical kind of red pill guy, like Fresh and Fit guy. And I was like, cool. But then it's like, one of the things that I don't like is I don't like somehow how people get a persona on the internet, and it's like you don't actually see their perspective. And so I remember it's like I did a lot of heavy investigation. I think the two things I did a really heavy investigation into him is I was trying to understand what is his views and Hustlers University. Now, Hustlers University, I think I must have watched like 50 videos on exactly what it is and like, is this a scam or not? Because the way I saw it is, if genuinely it can make money, oh yeah, sure, I'll pay money for it. But essentially, the consensus I got from a lot of people who did reviews were, there's information in there, but there's nothing in there that you probably can't find yourself on the internet. And fundamentally, it's mostly just a way for him to do affiliate marketing. But the thing that confuses me about Andrew Tate, and it still confuses me to this day, is that I agree with Triff. There are things he says that are actually genuinely positive, and there are opinions he has that are actually genuinely true. The things that I don't like, though, is that he intersperses lots of random, just very unpleasant things in it. Like the one that I keep hearing, Kanye West does as well, is this whole new notion of Jews control the world. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's like, where's this coming from? I keep hearing it randomly. And another one Andrew Tate does often is obviously, yeah, so it's like, for example, I can't lie, I was not surprised at all when they're like, he's probably done human trafficking and stuff, because he's literally admitted that the Romanian government is corrupt and that he's in with the mafia and stuff. He literally has said that before. But what I don't understand is that he's obviously a really smart man. You don't just... I know people like to act like sometimes you become rich just by accident and stuff like that, but no, he's a world kickboxing champion. His dad was a relatively successful chess player, and he's a pretty good chess player. He's made money, even though his business was a bit wild. Fundamentally speaking, he was basically being a pimp. So it's like he has some level of intelligence. So I can't understand, firstly, why he would follow some of these obviously just wild and like misogynistic and unreasonable views, and secondly, why he would brag about his criminal escapades on the internet. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I can't understand. Like, is this some game that I'm missing? Am I being trolled? Like, and it's like every time he gets into a debate with someone on the internet, I feel like they never challenge the right things, because it's like he'll just randomly, like, for example, COVID. He loves to posit that COVID is a hoax, but no one ever challenges him on it. And it's like, but why are you saying this? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like. So that's my problem with him. Like, I agree with Triff that there are positives in what he says, I definitely. But there's
It's the old mantra, I think, of if you say something with enough chest, people will just believe you.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's true.
I think the theory I have, I'm going to put the tinfoil hat on here. I think the reason that he brags about all this stuff is because one of the things he likes to preach about is men have to be men and women have to be women. And the women have to stay at home and look after you and do the dishes or whatever, and the men have to be out earning the money, getting the Bugatti, like shagging all these different women. You don't deserve for me to be loyal to you, bro. Like, who cares how manly a bloke is and how womanly a woman is? Like, maybe I'm looking at it differently because I'm looking at it from a trans person's perspective. But why do you care about? And this is something Yassine was saying. Yassine was saying like he loved the idea that he pushed men to be more masculine and women to be more feminine. Why are you as a person concerned with how someone else acts? Is this just me? Like, do you guys agree with this, or?
So I would say
I think.
you go first, Nathan. You go first.
So I think that the male consensus is that people are leaning into it more because of the fact they're looking. It's the majority of males will look into it like Tate. For his positive views. Well, I say positive views lightly because he talks about
views that can be perceived as positive.
Yeah, pretty much.
Things that are universal things.
What I would say is, I think we shouldn't be
people.
disingenuous and say not positive. No, I think it's fair to say, for example, what he does say about mental health a lot of time is positive. What he does say
and
about,
he'll talk.
So it's fair to say that there are positive things he says. I think that's fair.
Fair
enough. Carry
on. So stuff like going to the gym, working on yourself, pretty much making sure that you are in some way sustainable before, you go out and, try and Well, build yourself back up, basically. The things that are on the negative side that maybe a lot of these people don't see at first is that he's gotten to this way of life through other means that the public wouldn't necessarily know about. And when you actually look into it deeper, it actually shocks you. So I think that there's a lot more layers underneath the surface if people just looked a little bit deeper. But I think that's the reason why everyone's like coming to defend Tate, I guess, in the YouTubers community, because they're seeing it as more, they're trying to use his positives as a way to like defend what he's saying. But
yeah,
I
I agree. No, I agree. That is, but going back to Daniel's question, so with regards to, so my general perspective on life is you do you, I do me. Like I don't have that much of a big opinion about what you do in your personal life. I have opinions about what is correct and what is not. For example, I'll give a good example. I do think, for example, that there are gender roles, and I do think there are things women are better at, and there are things men are better at, and things that women should usually focus on, men usually focus on. But I think that in the context of my marriage, do you get it? It's what I do in my life and what me and my wife do is none of, if in your marriage that doesn't work for you, flow. And so that's my problem. My problem is when you start putting on people's heads and saying you have to follow this, that in your marriage the man, because what if in your marriage the man isn't the leader? What if in your marriage the woman's the smart leader? What if in your marriage the woman's the one who's earning more money? So it's like it doesn't make sense to push it. So I agree that I don't understand why people are so concerned with other people's lives. I can genuinely not think of in my head one time, other than my very, very close friends who I actually am interested in how their lives go, I don't think about other people's lives like that. Like, if you want to do you, bro. Like, I don't care. Like,
no disrespect in it. Like, when I come off this Discord call, I'm not going to be worried about like if you guys are acting manly enough.
Exactly.
Do your lives any? Like, do you?
Yeah. And so it's like, and again, this goes back to what I say, where it's like there are things that he says that actually do make sense. Because, for example, when he talks about gender roles a lot, for example, this is one of the things that he often talks about is the fact that, he thinks that men are better at certain things and women are better at things, and that's why he thinks the gender roles are there. But then he'll say that, and then he'll say, for example, another thing, one that he often talks about is when he talks about monogamy, for example. So use the example of, if a guy's been loyal and supporting you for his whole life and then he cheats on you, you shouldn't divorce him. But then he's like, he skates over the fact that maybe just don't cheat then. Like
maybe just don't do that.
Yeah, and then he'll be like, but I'm a Muslim and and it's haram and inshallah and all these things. But it's like, but then bro, don't cheat, because so it's like, again, this is why I keep getting confused, because it seems so obvious to me. Like, why do you keep skipping over these really obvious parts and then jumping to and it's like no one around him ever questions him. They're just like, oh wow, top G, and it's like, but guys, like, he's not making sense. But
that's what happens when people sort of get drawn into a personality. They lose the ability to think critically about it
on purpose. Like, that's the thing. He's scooting around them so that he doesn't basically fall into the trap. He knows what will get him cancelled more, and he's scooting around that. He said it once. He knows that he's going to get cancelled again. That's why he's like scooting around those subjects now, and everyone's just like, "What are you doing?"
Well, one thing that I know that he did that I know was intentional, so smart, was by getting other people to make accounts on social media for him. He made himself almost impossible to fully cancel, because so many people make accounts on his behalf because of his affiliate marketing program on Hustlers University. So as they banned him off social media, it made no difference, because there's like 50,000 accounts of Andrew Tate being ran by that aren't him. So it was so interesting that it's like, I know that was intentional. There's no way that he didn't foresee that before that. It's like, no, I'll get everyone else to make accounts. Then it's like, you can't even really ban me now.
That's worth mentioning, because I don't know if any of you have ever been on your YouTube Shorts or your TikToks or whatever. Give it 10 videos, you'll see a video of him.
And you hear that music, that it always comes in. It always comes in, and it's never. It will just be like Top G Productions or something, some random account, Tristan Tate Productions, and it's like, what is this? Like, I was saying to my friends, like my shorts, like 7 out of 10 of my shorts will be something to do with the manosphere now, and it's like, it's not that I'm interested in it. It just comes up. It just comes up because that's how shorts are, and anyway. But with the whole Andrew Tate thing, I think as well, people are too quick to cancel people sometimes. For example, when Triff first shared his opinion about Andrew Tate, my first thought was just, he likes Andrew Tate. Calm, I don't really care. I don't know about you guys, but Triff is not my life role model. Like I don't base my life decisions. And
I got that
stuff
wrong.
yeah.
I think that's an important thing to touch on, though, Fabs, is he might not be our role models, but he's got a big platform. He's going to be someone's role model. And I do think there is a certain responsibility when you have an online following to make sure that, not necessarily make sure that what you're putting out isn't, well, you need to make sure that what we're putting out isn't dangerous, but like you do need to have that level of, am I promoting something that is toxic?
So the problem I have with that, and it's an unfortunate reality, I think, of social media, where I think the onus is on the social media companies as opposed to people. I think, as a general rule, it's unfair to put the responsibility on people. So I'll give a completely different view, and we're going really into politics now. Wow. But, for example, I think a lot of conservative views are harmful.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I'm going to say this, I'm a Christian, so probably politically, I actually probably fall both politically and socioeconomically more conservative than liberal. But a lot of conservative views I do think are actually harmful. However, I think it's unfair to tell a conservative person that they can't promote a conservative politician or conservative view, because if they genuinely believe that's the best way forward, I can't really disagree, because I might not be right in my way of thinking, my ways forward. And so linked to that, I don't think the responsibility is on Triff to confirm that what he's doing is not dangerous. I think the responsibility is on the people who give access to that social media, namely the parents of the children or the people themselves who are looking at the social media, to validate it for themselves. And the responsibility is also on the social media companies to get rid of things that are harmful. Does that make sense? Because again, it's like he doesn't think it's harmful. Some people actually genuinely do agree with Andrew Tate, and we're almost moving into a kind of dystopian society where it's like you're not allowed to have certain perspectives because they're determined to be harmful. And obviously I know the disadvantage of that is some things actually are harmful, but again, it's like, who gets to define that? I don't think it's fair for us to define that based on where we politically lean or where we morally lean. I think, again, it's up to the people who are hosting the site and up to the people who are giving people access to the site to define
I
that.
do agree with that to a degree, but the fact that I'd say I disagree in is there's a difference between promoting your political views and there's a difference between promoting something that is objectively straight up just harmful in it. Like let's take Kanye for example.
Yes.
Like Kanye's, and before what all this stuff that went on, he was probably one of my favorite musical artists of all time, an incredibly influential person. Like his art has like saved my life. I'm not gonna dance around it.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where he's going around with a White Lives Matter T-shirt, and it's like, oh, okay, like maybe he's just being provocative, and then he goes and tweets on going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, and it's like, maybe he's just not tweeted this the right way, and then you go see him on Alex Jones, and it's like, nah, I can't fuck with you anymore. Like, thanks for what you're doing. Like, just I can't fuck with this. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do get what you mean, and again, it's like that's where the difficulty comes, and that's why I really think, and I think, for example, the social media companies did do a good job, because a lot of them, for example, did start deplatforming Kanye West when he got to that harmful level. But then, what I will say, for example, is, and I do agree, and this may be controversial, I think the way Andrew Tate was deplatformed, I don't think was fair, because for the most part, he wasn't necessarily promoting harmful things himself. And so
I'm not.
Like, for example, if I compare with what Trump was doing, for example, and what Trump was doing and what Andrew Tate was doing, and then what Hassan Abi does. Do you guys know who Hassan is?
Vaguely.
So Hassan is a more left-leaning social and political commentator, YouTuber, blah blah. And I feel like he's, for example, said things that are slightly more harmful than Andrew Tate, and he's actually promoted violence towards people, but he wasn't deplatformed. Do you get it?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And so that's my point, in that there should be there's an objective level where it's like, this person should be cancelled, and I don't actually think he reached that point when he was cancelled, but I do understand why social media companies took that step, because from a financial perspective it made the most sense, because he was becoming rapidly like someone that you don't want to be associated with.
Yeah.
But my ultimate perspective is, having said that, I do believe that for the most part Andrew Tate has a negative impact on society. I do believe that, though.
I think that's just a good statement to wrap up this entire drama sphere.
Yeah,
We've
I was
probably
going to say
rambled about this for quite a while.
Okay, so then we're going to move on to some of the new cards that have been released. Yes.
Let's go.
I feel
Let's
like the
go.
first one, the first one that I
Branded.
see on the list, I can't. Like, we're gonna get to branded, but I think the first one we see on the list, I'm very interested about, and this is Time Rending Morganite. So I'm gonna quickly read the text, and if someone else has the text already, they can read it. Otherwise, I'll quickly Google it and read it out for everyone.
I have it now here.
Wonderful.
So
Please,
I'll read it out text for text. Apply these effects for the rest of the duel. Not activate, apply. You cannot activate monster effects in the hand. Draw 2 cards instead of 1 for your normal draw during your draw phase. You can conduct up to 2 normal summons/sets this turn, not just 1. You can banish this card from your graveyard and discard 1 Time Rending Morganite. This turn, your opponent cannot activate monster effects when you normal summon a monster.
Yeah, this card. So my problem, I have a couple of problems with this card, but all in all, I like what they're going for. I think my biggest problem is that it's a normal spell, and so on the turn I activate this card, it is useless. Because on the turn I activate this card, it's just double summon with a couple of lingering effects. And it's like, I don't know how they could have balanced it. Like, I don't know, maybe make it draw first, but then it's a bit OP, but I don't know. And I feel like the restriction should have been stronger. I almost feel like it should have said something like, this is crazy. You can't activate monster effects as chain link 2 or higher. I think that would
something
have-
along those lines.
Yeah, like
I think the draw 2 effect was. I think the draw 2 effect reminded me of if you ever caught on to the Orichalcos arc in the original series.
Yeah.
Oh,
was a
yeah,
card-
yeah.
There was a card called Guardian's Treasure where if you discard your entire hand, you draw 2 for the rest of the game, and it was something weird like
Could
that.
never be printed.
You're like, but then, to be honest, the problem with that card is if you have one card, if you're playing like you have one card in your hand and you just have like, or you just have tears, you discard Shirin, discard the other chick, and then now you draw 2.
Imagine.
Well, it depends on how it's worded, whether it's a cost or not. But yeah,
Yeah.
Because then it's a handful of dangers, isn't it?
yeah. But this card is it's really interesting. I like cards like this that like actually change the way you build your deck and change the way you duel. I like that as a mechanic in the game, and I like that they're going towards this.
Sekka's Light.
Sekka's is another great example. Like, I love cards like that where it's like, yeah, now I'm playing a different game of Yu-Gi-Oh! To you. As bad as it sounds, Mystic Mind did kind of
It did.
it did kind of do this as well. I do like cards like that, so I do think it's quite cool. And I have a feeling this card, even though it's not amazing, I do think we'll definitely see it in a couple of decks, a couple of back row decks, just as a, you know.
For sure. I think the way that it's been balanced is, I think it's. I'm just gonna say it. You know, I think this card's fair.
Yeah, very fair.
Like,
I think it's almost too fair. Like, I almost feel like the benefit should be better and the cost should be heavier, so that it's like, I think it should be almost busted for decks that don't rely on monster effects. I think it should be like cracked. Like, that's why I almost want to. I don't know if is it unfair to say like draw 2, like just make it straight up pot of greed with more effects. Like, I
don't know. I was watching Lithium's video on it with Trap Tricks, and that seemed like a deck that was just tailor made for it.
Yeah. That would be.
But
cool.
then you have to think, how good are these decks?
I mean,
in the grand scheme of things,
there is one deck that I can't lie.
Tricks, but...
There's one deck with this card and with a link into the Vrains that I think is going to be insane, and that's Magical Muskets. I think this card is absolutely insane in Magical Muskets, and I think with link into the Vrains as well, this is going to be a really, really good card for that deck. So definitely will be interesting to see what happens with them.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, you're someone who spends a lot of time looking at the card pool. You've probably got the most extensive knowledge of cards in the game out of all of us. What do you think about this?
The immediate deck that sort of strikes me with this is Fluandaries, with obviously the normal summons.
Yeah.
But Yasenju is another one that's been talked about with this. Again, there are some Yasendus that are special summon. But
True Draco, I guess.
The normal summon is very valuable with that. True Draco, I think, is a really, 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 really strong one. Obviously, there is resource game is excellent as it is, but again, a lot of these trap decks are things where sometimes they struggle to keep up with the grind. Sometimes, if they don't have like a strong recursive engine, and that can quite often be in the form of like monster effects. And so, it particularly for some of these other decks where the stuff's happening more on the field, it does feel like a good option for those. I don't really know of other other decks right off the top of my head. It's not something I've been able to give much thought to as of yet. But yeah, Phil and the Reed seems pretty good with this.
Yeah,
That's what I say.
think this card's cool, man. I'm hoping that it's not going to be. I don't know, like it gives me Small World vibes in it. Is anyone else getting this?
Really?
You know what's
Why?
going on?
No, explain it.
So with Small World in it, everyone was like, "Oh my god, you can search anything," and Small World's played in like 4 decks.
Yeah, I get, because it's kind of like, if your deck needs this, your deck's probably really not that good in the first place.
That's the thing in it. That's the
Yeah.
thing, and like I've been testing, like going back to Trap Tricks, I've been testing it for a bit because it's one of the decks I've been thinking about picking up for the year, and that deck's like. That deck's potent enough as it is. Like, it's not tier 1 by any means, and it will benefit with this.
But to be
like,
honest, this doesn't even go well with the support they're getting, which is going
exactly,
to be insane.
like
Yeah.
their support is like a protection that specs itself from hand.
Yeah.
Like, I saw this and I was like, oh, this would be cool for Subterra. Oh no, wait, Fiendus exists. This would be cool for Crystal Beast. Oh wait, you get the Rainbow
even
Dragon.
the problem with Flunder is now you can't use Shifter, and they already had 2 normal summons anyway. After you've normal summoned Eaglin and Rabina.
That's what it is. It seems win more for Flunder, like
Yeah.
in my opinion, personally. But I don't know. Evil Eye as well. I think it'll be dope in Evil Eye. But that deck is just like so cope anyway.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
I
true.
wish so much Evil Eye was good. Like, the support is okay, but I wish that deck was good, because that's one of the.
Oh yeah,
coolest decks
Evil Eye
ever.
was one of that was the archetype that I couldn't remember that was getting legacy
Yeah,
support.
so they're getting 2 cards. It's because I've actually done a lot of Evil Eye builds, because it's a deck that I think is just really, really cool. So the first card they're getting is going to be, is it 2 or 3? It's 2. The first card is Battletress, Familiar of the Evil Eye. If it's in your hand or graveyard and you control an Evil Eye, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. During your opponent's turn, you can, after this effect resolves, link summon an Evil Eye monster using materials you control, and when you do this, you can use Evil Eye equip spells as Evil Eye monsters and use them as material. This is one thing. Honestly, yeah, very interesting. And then they also get another card, a spell. Send 1 Evil Eye monster and spell trap from your deck to the graveyard. Add 1 Evil Eye equip spell from your deck to your hand. For the rest of this turn, you burn 500 every time you activate a non-Evil Eye card or effect. If you link summon an Evil Eye monster, you can banish this from the graveyard, equip 1 Evil Eye equip spell from your graveyard to 1 Evil Eye link monster you control. So the reason why this is good is because the spell is basically a double rotor, because it searches for an equip, and then Evil Eye have another equip called Gorgonio, which searches by discarding a card. So the idea is that you add Selene, you send Gorgonio, you discard, you banish Gorgonio, discard Selene, search another card, and then Selene equips from the graveyard. So you basically search 2 cards at the price of 1. And then the monster's good because now you can link for free, basically. So like,
Isn't it like just protect the castle with Cersei though?
yeah, but it's like essentially the problem with Evil Eye, and the reason why it always struggles is because Cosmic Cyclone exists.
Yeah.
And so it's just very painful. It's like Cersei does, like, when you have a normal summon Cersei and you've got him protected by Evil Eye, it is nice, and then your opponent just goes Cosmic Cyclone, or they just like, yeah, and then you just lose, or droplets or whatever, and so that kind of holds them back a lot. But yeah, interesting card. But yeah, Evil Eye did get some good support.
Yeah. Oh, what else got support, Jacob, that you wanted to talk about?
Well, if it's me, we're talking about B Trooper.
Let's go.
So Cyberstorm Access has brought a variety of decks support, and B Trooper's got its OCG card, being a TCG archetype, exclusive archetype. Obviously, it's got its equivalent of Beatrice or Double Helix or anything, but sadly, I don't think it's really as impactful. It's a level 5 fusion monster that on summon it searches a Big Trooper card, which is pretty great, but the problem is getting to the fusion in the first place, because the B Trooper fusion card it's not like a Fusion Destiny, it's not like a branded fusion or anything, it's just poly. And to search it, you already have to like do your entire combo anyway, which is, and then go into extra steps, tribute off your big towers monster to summon basically a vanilla that searches a spell or trap, and then it's not actually going to get you like adding a B Trooper monster at that point probably isn't actually going to really do anything, and so it's, if instant fusion stays in the game, this card's cracked because it just searches you. Any B Trooper thing, summon it off instant fusion, you've got a body on field, you go from there. But what it doesn't really do is
It doesn't
really anything to improve like the end board or anything like that, and that is still really, really shattered ever since the banning of Verte Anaconda for the deck. And so I like you going down the line of making a fusion card for Beat Trooper was really not what I was hoping. I was hoping for a Link 1 or a Link 3 or something that would just work better in the lines that already exist.
I just want to
and
point
not require.
I just want to point out, Jacob, the same company that made this card made Kit Kalos. I just want you to know this. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I love Kit Kalos. To be fair, like the fusion is pretty good. And it does something else as well. With banished insect monsters, like getting one back to hand. It's a pretty powerful. It's a pretty good card, but it's not. It doesn't give us any new end options, and it's not very easy to access.
Yeah.
Like compare how you get into Kit Kalos, it's like anything. Any cards in your tier element deck get you to Kit Kalos.
Yeah.
But getting to this, you have to like hard open a fusion spell or do the whole combo that you already have.
Yeah, I agree. I think this card is it's the same thing I thought when I was looked at this. Like Beat Trooper, I've always thought it was a cool deck, but I've never made the effort to learn it because basically when Dragoon was out, when Verte was here, there was better decks in my opinion to make DP with, and then after Verte left, it was like it just didn't feel like it was worth the effort. And I looked at this card and I was like, why is this even a thing? Like I don't understand. Like, are Beat Troopers a fusion deck now? Are they trying to tell us something that we didn't know? Like,
well, we had that terrible fusion in Bode, which required 4 monsters, and it like didn't do anything at all.
Yeah.
And
bro, it's a super poly for the mirror match. What do you mean? It's
but now, to be fair, this is now a much better super poly for the mirror match because it doesn't require 4 insects.
This is the same thing as when the Dark Lord one came out, where it was like this fusion monster actually makes the deck worse because now super poly is better against your deck. Before there was no good super, there was not really a good super, but now it's like your board's getting clapped. No matter what B Trooper board you make, it's getting clapped by this. Like, yeah,
it's funny how the support can sort of do that with the mirror match. There's a trap that came out in Dabble, a goatee trap, which basically if like it has different triggers based on how many fish are banished, and like if you get up to 10, then you can just summon a fish synchro from your extra deck and treat it as a synchro summon. But it's either banish person's banished card. So suddenly, if you've banished a load of fish and then your opponent gets a load of fish but gets this card, then they can suddenly put the thing that is like Zero Boros for your whole field and just get that out. And because they didn't check it to your own cards, and so it's funny how these sort of things can end up being a danger just as much as a help.
Yeah.
It's like Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, isn't it? Cyber Dragon will never, ever be tier 1.
I was just about to hate on Cyber Dragon. Thank you for getting there before we get. Look, guys, your deck will never be better. It will never be better.
Remember when Cyber Dragon Orchestra was a thing, and it was the finals of some YCS, and it was Lunar Orchestra v Cyber Orchestra. Cyber Orchestra guy goes first, makes his board, and the Lunar Light Orchestra just mega fleets the guy.
Yeah, literally.
Oh my gosh, that was incredible.
I could never be intimidated by a Cyber Dragon player. Never. It's just your board's gone. They release Clockwork Knight. That just makes your deck even worse, to be honest. You're making everything machines. I'll just normal summon my Aluba, and then I'll contact Fusion. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Speaking of Aluba, Nate, you're our resident Aluba stan. What do you make of the new branded support?
New branded support is okay. I mean,
very mid.
They are okay. Are we talking about the new fusion, or are we talking about like
the synchro?
The new
the trap. Today's trap.
The new fusion's broken. Like
Yeah.
Chap Lindworm, man, Springen's kit, best girl. But yeah, the trap and the synchro is very weird.
So the synchro, someone made a point on Reddit actually that there's a way you can summon it while using branded fusion. Like you're supposed to summon it in a specific way with a monster and stuff. I don't know exactly. So you can actually summon the synchro. So
I was going to say, like,
yeah,
doesn't fusion lock you out of like summoning anything other than fusions for that specific? I'm not going to make the effort to actually find the Reddit post, but basically someone explained you can actually legitimately summon the synchro while using random fusion because there is a way to do it with the way the card's been designed. But I think it's a really weird one. Like I like the idea that Despia is now getting more support, which is sick. The only thing that I don't like is the fact that it's a level 12, which is, a bit.
A bit strong.
That sword soul support.
Oh, wait,
That's
are you talking about the?
edit. That's sword soul support. And
be
it's
honest-
Oh yeah, the bestial. The
Yeah.
bestial one is sick.
Yeah.
The bestial one is sick.
It's like, I
I'm
sent it to you,
talking-
didn't I? I sent you the
There's so many.
sword soul support.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many that came out. I think the Photon Hyperwave one is what's the Photon Hyperwave one? Is that
It's Lindworm. It's Kit. Lindworm.
yeah,
is
it's the
Anti-Fusion.
kit one. We're getting confused.
There's so
Um,
many.
Grand Gogognal as well, or whatever
There
it's
is
called.
so many.
Goblin.
No, I think
that's a
I
go-to
think
card.
I think the new fusion that we get for the Branded support, the one that comes out in Photon Hypernova, is insane. Like, I actually really, really like this card because it does the one thing that Brandon never had before, and that's an actual form of negation. Like, you can actually end on this card and still have a significant board with all your other monsters as well. Because you still have.
I'm going to go into a little bit of funny lore on the here, just before Nathan goes on. So, for people who don't know, Springen's Kit is one of my favourite cards of all time. I don't know why, it just is, and she's just sick. And it was the day of my wedding, innit? And I was pranging out, and I was looking on my phone to distract myself.
I swear I sent it you on your wedding day.
Nathan sends me this reveal of this new fusion monster with Kit on it, and I'm like, this is a sign, innit? This is like a present from Konami. That was dope.
Where it's like you were getting the pre-wedding jitters, and then I send this, and you're like, "All is right with the world."
Yeah. I was standing there in the bathroom, and instead of pranging, I was just theory crafting in my head. Sorry, go on.
Nah, I still think that I think me and Dan talked about this when the card came out. I really do like the new fusion. I think it's actually really, really sick. What's the trap card again? I can't remember that comes out in this set.
It like negates the whole board or something like that. Where is it? I can't remember. Let's go on.
Are you on about Branded Exile, or the one that's literally been announced today?
The one that was announced today is a field negate, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we're talking about the cards that were revealed today, then we get a new Sword Soul card, which is it's really weird.
It's a banish if you control a synchro, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
You could get a second.
Yeah, the branded trap, I don't actually think it's that good. I think that the problem with a lot of cards like these is that they just fundamentally don't address the issues the deck has. I don't actually think the thing about brand is I think the problem with branded ultimately comes from the issue that the deck is locked into using branded fusion. It's either get to branded fusion or lose most of the time. And so if I got to branded fusion, you get to this trap if you get to branded fusion. We're ignoring the shenanigans of Bistio, Saranir, and Albion and stuff. As a general rule, if I get to branded fusion, I get to the trap. But if I got to branded fusion, I probably won anyway. If I got to branded fusion and resolved all of that, there's like 10 different ways I could win. I could probably branded exile you, branded banishment you, branded this you. Negating the whole board with some weird Kali Yuga effect, as good as that is, I don't see that as anything unique or special that is addressing the problems of my deck pretty much loses if it doesn't get branded fusion. So that
seems win more, yeah.
Yeah, again, it's
agree.
adding stuff to the end of my combo when it's like, no, my problem is the beginning when they ash my branded fusion. What now? Like, give me the effect
I was
now.
like, why does this hold more value than me getting to either branded loss, branded retribution, branded in red?
Yeah.
Like out of those three,
even branded banishment.
Branded it's like literally you have so many good branded spells and traps. Even branded retribution is actually a very good counter trap if you set it. It's like adding another option onto the end. It's great, but it doesn't change anything.
Sorry, I said retribution. I meant to mean banishment. Retribution. No one plays
Retribution's a good card.
So
though.
no, retribution's good too. Retribution's usually use it for the graveyard effect, but its effect on field is basically a solemn. Like, it's great, and it recycles materials. It's great. But again, so that's my problem with the
it was
trap
one of
I
those
just
where
said.
everyone. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I
But
think it's one of those. I think the new fusion's a bit weird, like the one that they just released, the new Albion one. I think that's very. I think you play it as a one-off, but like.
You just use it to make jargon in it, and you just. But then that
I
seems shit.
No, I think I liked how they kept the lore aspect in the effect where it's like you have to use both your extra monster zones and then the middle zone of each main monster zone.
That was hard.
I think that's kind of cool because
it
it's
is
basically
cool, but it never happened.
no, it's no practical. Like, it's not a practical effect, but like it's just fine to have as like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Albion.
But,
More-
yeah, but I do agree. It's cool. I in general, I think the branded is a deck that I've splurged out on. I think that deck is quite sick, and so yeah, I do like that they're putting effort into it. And then, guys, Sue Ship's got support as well. So now with the new Sue Ship support, it's going to be tier 1, clearly.
Is it? What does it do?
No, it's not.
It's something.
Let's have a
Basically,
look.
so the support is really interesting. The way it works is this: you reveal you put it on the field first, and then I'll read the text. Once per turn, reveal one Gunkan Sue Ship's Shari in your hand, place a counter on this card, and then if you do, reveal a Gunkan XYZ monster in your extra deck. If you do that, your opponent declares the name of one Gunkan monster mentioned on a Gunkan XYZ monster, and then you add that card to your hand. So essentially, you activate this continuous spell, then your opponent, you activate this continuous spell, you show them an XYZ monster, your opponent has to name a Gunkan monster that is on one of the Gunkan XYZ monsters, and then you add that card to your hand. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because your extra deck is private knowledge. And so I can show them one Gunkan monster that I want, and unless they know my deck really well, they have to give me the Gunkan that's on that, because they're not going to remember the name of one of the other Gunkans. And by the way, guys, in the policy, you can't actually start Googling cards. That's actually not allowed. So, but it's just interesting that this is the rota that this deck gets, where it's like, it's just unnecessary conditions. It's a continuous spell. It's like, what are you doing? And then also, if this card is destroyed by your opponent, they pay LP equal to the number of counters on it. So it's basically like you're paying for the sushi you want.
This card thematically is a way of reading you the specials.
Yeah. And then that's literally, and then you pay for it when they destroy it, and they're like, I want this one. But I mean, the deck thematically is very, very cool, I will admit. They put in work with Sue Ships. But in terms of a tournament, I mean, anyone who tops with Sue Ships, you're a legendary player. You're
Bro, it's common charity best deck, bro. What do you mean?
Oh, it absolutely is not. I'll have you know. No, Lunalight, mate.
Oh, yeah,
of course.
Lunalight and Goki. Right?
What do you mean? It's Lunalight and Predaplant.
Oh, actually, yeah, Predaplant. Now that I think about it, yeah, they actually.
Predaplant plays tier elements now in common charity. Grief and Merly.
Oh, no.
I don't even want to play common charity anymore.
Tier is just ruining everything, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Literally coming. Right, guys. I want us, because we are running close to the hour mark.
Spend a lot of time talking about
100 days.
Yeah.
I want to very, very, very quickly. Actually, I'll give you guys a choice. So we can do a Would You Rather, or we can do an Am I the Arsehole. Which one would you rather do for our last topic?
Personally, I'm going for an Am I the Asshole.
Yeah,
That's
likewise.
Cool.
Yeah, go for it.
So we're gonna go into this one. I think is quite interesting. It's not funny or anything, but
One of them deeper ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's deep, but just an interesting. I want to see what everyone's perspective on it. So 1 second, I'm just bringing it back up. Quick delay. Don't worry, I'll probably cut this out. I probably won't cut this out. If you're listening at home, just imagine that there's like a thing.
Take this time to read any Sue Ship card of your choice.
If you cannot, then I will shuffle this card back into deck.
I'd like to take this moment actually to thank everyone who listened throughout the majority of last year. It's been really good to have you all along with us, and just hopefully we'll have some. Obviously, not hopefully, definitely, and it will have some more stuff. We will eventually have a dedicated channel for this, featuring shorts and things of that nature. I feel like I'm a bit of a barbershop quartet now.
I found it now, guys. I found it now. So.
I miss being in a barbershop quartet. That's fun.
Right, so
I miss being in the band.
It's Am I the Arsehole? Had a huge fight
Yes.
with my wife. Had a huge fight with my wife over opening a present. Today is my birthday. I got home from a 24-hour shift at 7 this morning. I walked through the garage door, and sitting on our kitchen island is a present with 2 cards, one from my wife and one from my kids. I opened the cards in the present, then I went downstairs and played a video game for an hour because no one was up. After an hour, I got up the stairs to take a shower, and my wife in bed wishes me happy birthday. I finished getting ready and go downstairs, and my wife tells her that she's upset I opened my present and I should have waited for family to be up and together. I was shocked. We had a small argument, and my position is that she shouldn't have put the present out if she didn't want me to open it. How was I supposed to know I shouldn't have opened it? I'm just quickly checking. Nothing else here is relevant. Basically, she's still upset, and then on his birthday, she's like really huffy, and they had a big blow up fight about it. And then he was upset that she ruined his birthday, and she said she had nothing to apologize for. Am I the arsehole for opening the present? So what do we think, guys?
Let's look at it. Let's look at it tactically here. So, like my wife is, she's someone who enjoys giving a gift, and she enjoys seeing, the joy that you get. And I imagine that's the case for a lot of people. So I can understand why the wife would be a little bit annoyed. But on the flip side, he's just coming from a wham shift.
24-hour shift.
Give him some leeway, man.
Yeah.
And it's his birthday. Like, how you gonna?
I would say just if he opens his present, he opens his present, and just be happy that he's grateful for it. Sort of thing. But then again, obviously, if you want to enjoy it around the company, your family, then that's a whole different thing. I know that in personal situations like that, people would be a little bit upset if they've seen that you've opened the present without giving them the thought of them seeing you open the present. So it can be taken from both sides.
I don't think it's that deep. If I'm being
Yeah,
completely honest.
No, I agree.
Present, who gives a shit?
But also, like, working for 24 hours straight
That can't be legal.
Yeah, well, I don't know where in the world this person's working, but yeah, as you said, it's going to do things to your head, isn't it? You're not going to necessarily have all the same, like, should I be doing this? Things that you might think about otherwise, even subconsciously. You're just
sure.
Box open, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. I think as well, it's like Nathan said, it's his birthday, man. Like, I don't know. When I'm very much of the perspective that's like, if I get you a present, I'm getting you the present so you can enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I enjoy watching you open the present, it's not my birthday. I can maybe on my birthday I can buy you a present and you can open it if that's really, really what I enjoy. But it's on your birthday, it's about you. And so I don't think. I think as well, it's not nice that she. If I'm really, really upset at you on your birthday, I'll try and hold it to after your birthday and be like, why did you do that? But it's like on the day you want them to have a nice time, and I fully agree. I think.
What is the general consensus on this one? Like in terms of what Reddit is saying? Like, I'm kind of intrigued.
So what's interesting as well, I'd say, is the before I answer that, the subreddit I use is Am I the Arsehole Filtered, which only gets judgments that are at least 70% of people don't agree. Which is, if you go on the regular Am I the Arsehole, usually 90% of people agree. So this one, 55% of people said that he's not the arsehole. Arsehole. Wow, my pronunciation was wild. 25% said he was the arsehole. 12% of people said everyone sucks, and 5% of people said no one sucks. So about half of the people said that he's not the arsehole, but then there was a considerable amount. There was at least 37. There was 37% of people who thought that he was the arsehole in some way. So it's a bit surprising because I personally wouldn't have thought of him as an arsehole in this at all, to be honest. But
I'm in that camp of like because of this issue, like we've all said, it doesn't really feel like as big enough of a deal. But what I would say is just like with a lot of my experience with some of these is just people can communicate better, but it doesn't mean that they're an arsehole. It just means that they haven't communicated very well.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's fundamentally, I feel like the problem with like 95% of people of these things. Like, literally, people just don't seem to talk to their partners, or at least not in a smart or normal way. It just seems like everyone.
Yeah, man.
It's a bit weird.
But if no one's doing it, is it normal?
That's a really good point, to be honest. Jacob's really just blown all of our minds, and on that wonderful note, guys, we are going to end this amazing first of the year episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We're going to have another episode coming out very, very, very soon. Guys, look. I say this all the time. Make sure that you are subscribed to all of our channels, and also hit the notification bell. I got a very interesting call just before this podcast from someone. They were saying how they actually don't get the notifications from the podcast. So please make sure you're hitting that notification bell as well, so you know when the podcast is releasing. But any final words from anyone?
I think my final words for this podcast are separate the art from the artist as much as you can, but also know when to say, come on now.
100%.
And I'll say, I actually created some content recently.
Yes, Grandmark did a 2023 combo video. Do you want to talk about it very quickly?
I as I like to do, I made a combo starting from one card that summons every single monster with the stats that correspond to the year. So there's 4 monsters in the game who have 2,000 attack and 2,300 defense, so 2023. And I've summoned all 4 of them in one turn off one card, and it's on my YouTube channel. Check it out if you think that's interesting.
A sick guy, Jacob.
That is
I
legendary.
love the way your brain thinks,
Guys,
man.
that
You're a
will
sick guy.
definitely be in the description, so go down and click that now. I'm gonna go watch that as well. That's been nutty. What the heck?
Right, thank you everyone for listening. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.